Hello, my name is Kiriath, and today we are going to have a little chat about Warhammer Plus, which I wanted to do earlier in the week, but my children have been ill, so I've been looking after them, and then they made me ill, because that's how children work. They are incubators for terrible diseases. They get sick, and then you get a worse version of whatever they had. That's how it usually works. So, I will say before we get into this properly, I apologise if there are cuts all the way through this video. It's probably going to be the only way to make it watchable, because I will start coughing my guts up at some point. Speak of the devil. Anyway, so let's talk about Warhammer Plus, because it's interesting, but I feel like this is going to require quite the set of incentives to make it worth it. So, Warhammer Plus is a new service, more Warhammer more often, and it's heading our way in July. And we'll be able to start watching a bunch of Warhammer animations. So we've got this lot. We've got Hammer and Bolter and Angels of Death, the Exodar Iron Within, Altar of Wrath, Black Talon, Interrogator, Broken Lance, Pariah Nexus, High Lords, and Astartes 2. Let's face it, we are all absolutely frothing for Astartes 2. And it's a streaming service. Kind of. There are going to be more things on there. I mean, they say there, Warhammer Plus will offer far more than these animations. It needs to do that, because if it's just those animations, people will subscribe for a month and then never go back, because, yeah, it's not a vast amount of content compared to competitors, which we'll talk about in a second. I will say that one line that does make me happy, so, it does the usual thing of, you can watch it on your mobile, your tablet, so on and so forth, but it's created by a big name in VOD content. That means they didn't make it themselves, so that's a good start. The Warhammer 40k app is okay now, but it wasn't ideal at launch, and frankly, there's still things that I wish they'd implement and change, but just the fact that they've not made this themselves does give me some small amount of hope. Now, what can we compare this to? Well, at the moment it's kind of difficult, because we know that there are other things coming with Warhammer Plus. It's not just going to be those animations, and in fact it needs to be not just those animations, because online streaming services, there's a lot of them. It's kind of a saturated market at this point, frankly, and you kind of need to have a significant pull, a significant draw to get people in. I mean, one of the things that is obviously beneficial for the larger examples, your Netflix, your Prime Video, your Disney Plus, they all have huge catalogues of everything. Literally everything. No matter what you want, chances are there will be something of that style in one of those three services. There'll definitely be something, actually probably in all three. This is obviously far more niche. I mean, what they've done here is they have targeted their kind of audience/customer base very directly. This is just flat out, it's just going to be Warhammer. That's all it is. You know what? In a way, I can understand why they've done that, because you can't get more invested and more already prepared to spend money than the customers who already give you money. I've seen people say, well, why don't they just put them on Netflix or Prime Video or something? Why don't they do that? Well, to be honest, I suspect it's probably wanting to retain control of those things, not wanting to give any revenue to third-party services, and essentially keep it all for themselves, and going with the approach of targeting their existing customer base. That's what they do with a lot of their stuff. You know, a lot of the things that they do are targeted directly at the people who've already bought lots of stuff from them before. This is really no different. The thing is, though, that this has very direct competition from multiple different angles. In terms of sheer amount of content, obviously they can't match any of the big names, not even close. So what about the extras? Because right now, this sounds like something that I would subscribe to once, just for 1 month, and then probably not bother with again until something else is released. Probably even wait for things to stack up. Genuinely. So subscribe for a month, watch the things you want to watch, end the sub, give it a few more months, maybe 6 months or something. A few more things have come out, subscribe, watch those, cut it off, so on and so forth. A rolling subscription does not seem like something that I would be likely to go for if the total of it was just animations and maybe other series down the line at some point. It doesn't quite have the same draw as, say, an actual Netflix account, just because the amount of content is very, very small compared to other services. What about extras, though? What about the other stuff? It says it'll offer far more than just the animations, which is obviously good. Well, I've been trying to think about what they would roll into that. I reckon if they rolled into that the Warhammer 40k app, which is a lot better than it was, does have its uses, then I could see myself being somewhat swayed, depending entirely on the price point, obviously, if they started doing things like battle reports, or videos that were more, I don't know, more in-depth, more edited, stuff that wasn't like just kind of repackaged VODs from their Twitch channel, but, actual stuff that was maybe more narrative in nature. Big long campaigns, for instance. Like a big long series of like Crusade, perhaps. That could be interesting. That's something that might entice me, might tickle my fancy. But again, even things like that, there's already competition for. There's already competition for things like battle reports. Now, there's been like kind of rumblings about there being official Games Workshop battle reports for a while. They have done, obviously, games of 40k on the Twitch channel. But there's also been, I think there was a specific job listing, which was effectively for doing that kind of thing. And obviously it makes sense for them to move into doing that proper. Clearly it does. Games Workshop, it's their product. 40k is their thing. Age of Sigmar is their thing. There are a significant number of YouTube channels out there doing that job for them. They're going to want to get in on that action eventually. It's taken them a while, as it does with a lot of stuff, to be honest. But I can see them rolling that into Warhammer Plus. But again, it's the same issue as having just a streaming service for the animations or different series. There are already so many battle reports on YouTube, and a lot of them have a premium version of those battle reports. I mean, if you look at just examples of like kind of friends of the channel, if you will, Hellstorm Wargaming, Mini Wargaming, Winters, so Deployment Zone. Just off the top of my head, those are 3 channels where, if you want to, you can become a premium Hellstorm Wargaming member and get extra battle reports, on top of the free ones that you could already get before. You can do exactly the same thing with Mini Wargaming and subscribe to their Vault, where you get more on top of the free that you already had. Same thing with Winters. You can watch his battle reports. There's also Deployment Zone TV, which he runs with Liam Dempsey, which does additional content for a price. Except they're giving it away free as well. So you've got the free stuff, then you can sign up, pay, and get a bit more stuff on top. If this is just battle reports that you have to pay for, again, I can see why they do it, but I feel like it has to be more. This, in a way, is exactly the same situation as the Warhammer 40,000 app. When it comes to the list builder, so when it comes to actually putting together an army, it needs to be better than the alternative, because the alternative is free. Like, Battlescribe is a free piece of software. You do not need to pay for Battlescribe. You can if you want to, you can support them if you want, but you don't have to pay for it. And the issue with the Warhammer 40k app, for the longest time, is that Battlescribe is better and it's free. This is the same problem. If they're going to put things like battle reports behind a subscription price every month, those battle reports need to be absolutely top-notch in every single way. We're talking the best camera work, we're talking the best editing, the best music, if you're going to use music in them, we're talking the best presenting as well. They need to be a cut above the rest, because there are so many places that are already offering a very high standard of that for free. It's a tricky one, and there is also an added, I'm going to say, sadness to it as well. Because locking the animations behind a paywall is a great way to ensure that no one outside of the existing fan base sees your animations. Outside of, piracy or whatever, if you lock everything behind a paywall, how are people supposed to discover it? How are people supposed to know about it? How are you supposed to get new people in? You can't show them an animation and go, hey, this is connected to a tabletop game. You should try playing it. Look how cool those Sisters of Battle are. Let's go. You can't do that because they can't watch it. Because it's not available anywhere. It's only available if they pay for it. Locking that away, I can see why. You want the extra money from the subscription, obviously, clearly. But is it worth losing that kind of exposure to people? This is the problem that actually people have had with Astartes being kind of folded into Games Workshop. Astartes is an amazing kind of short series. Still exists, obviously, you can still watch it. But it disappearing off YouTube the way it did, there are no small number of people whose first exposure to Warhammer 40,000 was that series. And that series is now gone. You can find other versions, people reacting to it, including like part 5 on this channel, funnily enough. And there are, there's like a cut together version that someone did where they put all the different parts in order in one big video. But the actual kind of official versions are only available on a Games Workshop website. So that discoverability is gone. Which I can't help but view that as being bad. I just can't. I just don't... There's something to be said for taking a hit in terms of squeezing a bit of extra cash out of the customer base in exchange for, letting something stay free and public and making do with ad revenue, for instance. Added to which, I suspect if you re-uploaded Astartes onto YouTube on a different channel, a Warhammer Animation channel, this is what I assumed they would do, by the way. I did not see a streaming service coming at all. When Astartes disappeared, I said in a couple of comments, like when people were expressing genuine disappointment that it disappeared off the platform, that I assumed they would start their own YouTube channel. They would put Astartes up there, probably as a larger, longer video, and it would be monetized, and that's how it would work. I did not see them locking it behind a paywall, because that series is like the prime example of letting the public see your product. Essentially, I feel like this has got to be really, really good. It needs to offer really good incentives to subscribe. There needs to be a constant flow of content to prevent people from unsubscribing. There needs to be something in there that makes that monthly price worth paying time after time. At the moment, it doesn't feel like there is, but that's because they've not given us enough information about it, which they are getting kind of bad at doing, frankly. There's a lot of publicity for Games Workshop at the moment. A lot of marketing revolves around not giving 100% of the story in an attempt to build hype. In some situations, that is appropriate and that works. Things like building up to a new box set or like the new Age of Sigmar starter set, for instance. But when it comes to products that have a vast amount of competition, just going, oh yeah, there's going to be more, that's not quite enough. We need to know what the more is, because on the surface of it, you're offering a streaming service that has nowhere near the content, longevity, history, or budget of any of the others. That's not a great sell. It really needs to offer a lot more. But we won't know what else there is for it until the 23rd of June, until which point, obviously, speculation runs rampant, and so does a general air of, are you sure about this? And on this occasion, sometimes I see people kind of go, yeah, and I'm not convinced, lads. That's not going to work. And I think to myself, well, they've hardly said anything about it here. Come on, you need to give them a little bit more time. In this specific instance, I think the opposite of that is true. I think this is something that needed to be announced with a bang, with a full feature list so that you knew what was going on, as opposed to saying, you can watch animations behind a paywall, and then leaving it at that with a vague promise of other, because we don't know what other is, and so at the moment, it doesn't really seem worth it. But we will find out soon enough, I suppose. Not long to go, only a month. It'd be fine, I'm sure it'll be fine, maybe. Anyway, what did you make of the announcement of Warhammer Plus? Are you already in? Are you like, well, it's my thing, it's targeted right at me because I love Warhammer, so why would I not? Or are you more cautious and waiting to see what happens? Let me know in the comments down below. In the meantime, feel free to click all the things, Patreon, video, subscribe, all that stuff. Click it if you like, don't click it if you don't want to. And as always, there's an affiliate link in the description for Anime Games, which you can use to support the channel if you would like. I leave it in your capable hands. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.